welcome to Before Brunch TV, a show where women are pouring into each other and then their glasses. Today I have the distinct pleasure of having a generational conversation. I know with us millennials, sometimes we really want to know what our previous women were thinking and what they currently think about us right now. And so I'm so pleased to have my mom, Alvita, Dana, Lynn, and Patrice here. Thank you ladies for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And risking it all to be on the show. So the first thing I want to talk about, obviously you all have been friends for years and have been in different social circles. Growing up, what was your perception of like a good woman, like from your family or in the media?
Well, I'll start off. I think our perception of what a good woman was kind of came from TV. I think we are a TV generation, and so the TV shows that we watch, like, I don't know, Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best. But then, of course, we had our own mothers as role models. My mother worked outside of the home starting when my younger brother was 6. So I had the image of a woman who not only ran a household, but a woman who worked. So, Patrice?
My mother worked outside the home as well, but I had a family in my neighborhood, and so there were about 6 women that impacted my life in that way. They all worked outside of the home. They all raised the children. They all looked after all of us. And so I thought they were pretty straight-laced and dedicated to their families.
And they all looked good while they were doing it.
It sure did. Yeah. I never saw my mom come out of the bedroom in the morning not dressed.
And I think that for us, our exposure to things was what we saw at church, in our neighborhoods, our own mothers, and TV, as Lynn said, because we didn't have the kind of exposure that you all have. The world wasn't as big to us. It wasn't the internet where you see everything in the world. It was small. And so women were, my mother also worked outside of the home. She worked outside the home, she ran her household, she took care of her children, her husband, and her extended family. And that's what a good woman was to me, who did it all. They did it all.
And I think also for growing up, all of us, our families looked a lot different in terms of maybe the structure of what families are now. Everyone had the traditional family, mom, dad, and then for me, and you know this, my paternal grandmother, she was very much a role model for me as well, because she was a kind of a mix of what my mother, who was a working mother as well, doing everything, but also she was that mom that stayed home with her children. And I remember her always saying it was nothing like a woman who had her own money.
What did you have to unlearn about what women maybe are supposed to do or what you thought women had to do?
Oh, I want to start with that one.
Okay.
I learned when I left my house, my parents' house, it was okay if you were not a virgin when you got married.
Oh, whoa. Okay, Mom. Y'all didn't think it was going to go there. Well,
I don't believe Alvita.
I love it.
When you go to college, this whole new world opens up. And you were always taught that you save yourself for marriage.
That's real. That's y'all generation, because we don't think like that.
Right, I know, but I remember a conversation my mom had with me before I went to college, about things like, birth control. And I'm like, is this the same woman that told me I couldn't? And then she's telling me, how to protect myself. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Those are conversations that our parents, or my mother, was really kind of not direct about. For instance, once my sister and I had our menstrual cycles, she said, here, this is what you need now, and here, this is the book that you read, and there will be no babies and no abortions in this house. That was it.
Wow.
Right, and you learned your lesson. They talked about other people's mistakes, and that's how you were to learn your lesson, because they didn't talk about things directly.
My mother did, and maybe that was because I'm pretty direct, and I got that from my dad. So I asked her, we were on our way to the grocery store. I was probably 10 or 11. When did she first have sex? Flash forward, I grew up on a college campus, so a lot of the college students kept me when my parents were doing other things. And they were sisters. One of them was dating someone in the military, and he had sent her a letter. This has not been resolved up to today. And so she let me read the letter. And I was like, oh, wow. You know, he was talking about everything. So when I went home, I was like, Mom, everything. I said, Mom, what is blah, blah, blah about? She said, where did you hear about that? So I told her. And I don't really think she's spoken to that student since that time.
What did you feel like you had? Did you feel like you had to conform to a certain thing, like whether it's because of your family or the relationships that you saw modeled?
I think we did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't. The only thing that I felt like I had to conform to was don't get pregnant before you get married. That was it.
I felt like I had to conform. I, like Patrice, grew up on a college campus. My parents were both college professors. And so it was expected, obviously, as all of us were, we were going to go to college. It was always expected that I would go beyond college, and that was what I needed to do before I even thought about getting married. So that was a really heavy expectation.
And I think that there were lots of expectations placed on us by people outside of the family. They had an expectation of you because of who your family was. And you did have to, there were lots of boundaries we did not cross. Now, we lived up to their expectations, but I don't think that we conformed in the way they expected us to, because I think I lived my life pretty wildly.
And I think too, for I know for myself especially, three of us, we were raised, as Catholics, and I think that had significant impact. I know for me, because I remember, when I, went to Mom and Dad to tell them that I was getting a divorce the first time, and and I thought, I said, this is gonna be, because they, Daddy was my father was a cradle Catholic, and I had an aunt that had, been divorced, and I remember my grandfather's reaction when my aunt got divorced, and you would have thought, oh, hell, I'm like, her, just because she's leaving someone. But, and she could take care of herself. But in my grandfather's eyes, you just didn't do that. And so that kind of always stuck with me. But my father, I was pleasantly surprised. He was like, well, what do you need to make this happen? And I was really, really surprised. And I was dreading having that conversation, with them, because my parents, they were one and done, as the saying goes. But, now I'm two and done. So
I feel like y'all's generation, though, there was a heavy emphasis on like getting married, like early and staying married. I feel like a lot of y'all's generation, y'all was like 22, 23 getting married. I'm like 22, 23. I was turning up, living life. So like, how do y'all feel about like the expectation of like relationships in your generation?
So I got married early to have sex because I was dating someone, and that was probably the next step. So I was like, I can't do this without that. So,
how old were you?
22.
Oh gosh,
22.
Wow. I didn't get married until I was 27. And as I said, my parents wanted me to finish my education first. My grandmother, however, was like, you just ain't never gonna get no husband. An education is fine, but you need to get married. People who aren't married aren't normal. And, I'm like, well, Jen, I'm, preparing myself for, a profession. That's nice, but you need to have a husband, all right? So, because my parents are first generation college, my grandparents did not go to college. And so I think for my grandmother, it was really important that you marry early, in your early 20s, but not so much for my parents. Because remember, we came of age in, the generation of, live free, love free
Yes.
love, and hippie, and burn your bras, and women's lib. So I think that those kinds of expectations were somewhat relaxed. They all, I think, wanted us to
Yes.
be married, but it wasn't such a race to the altar at the time when we were growing up.
Yeah.
I married late in life, and
How old were you?
47. I was
Wow.
47 when I married.
This was the first time?
First time. I was engaged.
Okay.
I was in my early 30s. I was engaged, and then I got pregnant. And so my parents' response was, "That's okay. We'll just move the wedding up. We'll just go ahead and get married since you're pregnant." Oh, well, that's the other thing, Mom and Dad. I decided I don't want to marry him anymore. Well, I had to have my friend Lynn come over when I told them that, because I was just that scared. But it went over pretty well.
Always calling me when the stuff gets deep. And you gotta come over. Oh my God, they're gonna hate me. Why? I don't want them to come. But her parents loved her, and that's what it was really about. He wasn't the right person for her, but she was going to have this child, and so we were all going to surround her with the love and support that she needed, and that's what we did.
And then years later, I found the person that I should marry. And as I said, it was late in life.
Women obviously are waiting way later to get married. I remember when I started dating my now husband, my mom kept saying, "When you getting married?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm like chilling. I'm doing my thing. We're doing our thing." I didn't get married till I was 30. But compared to, I feel like when you were 23,
Right.
I mean, but it just seems like for our generation, we're just like really doing our own thing and waiting a little bit longer to get married and have kids. As soon as you get married, next question is, when you having kids? And so, what do you think like it took for you to really become the woman that you are today? Like, what were you just like, nope, I'm not going with that, or you know what, that's cool? What did it take for you to get to who's sitting on this couch today?
I think it's your combination of life experiences and really realizing people really don't give a beep 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 about
Right. They can't see the sign, but it says F what they think.
About certain things, because for some reason I know for me sometimes you always thought you had to look a certain way. And that may have been the nature, of the profession I was in, and if you wanted to advance, if you did this, you were not, and so I think is getting that self-confidence to say, I'm doing me. Case in point, I always had long hair. I mean, these ladies remember me growing up, and so the Saturday night with the straightening comb before we're going to mass, getting ready for Sunday, and throughout most of my life. And finally, I decided I'm sick of this hair stuff. I'm sick of weaves. I'm sick of this, that. I just want to wear my hair. And so I decided to chop it and start over. But my dear sweet 85-year-old mother, who I love so dearly, and she is so sweet, she will not acknowledge that I have done this. I mean, she'll compliment my outfit, she'll compliment my makeup. Ladies, yes, she will. I told Lynn this. And because her generation of women, especially African American Black women, their connotation of beauty is long, straight, the European look. And and I remember her making, she and for my mom and my father too, hair was a big thing for them. It always was. And so now I know my father is turning over in his grave right now. I'm sure he is,
But remember when I first went natural? And I
know
had
Daddy
my
didn't
natural
like
hair.
it.
You were just like, why are you wearing your hair like that? What are you doing? And now to see her have her hair like this, and man, that made me so emotional, because I can't believe this person took the courage, because I know her, you guys know her, took the courage to do that, because I know that took every every ounce. I mean,
Yeah,
because I've always been the whole like, I'm doing me, Mom. That's cool. You don't like it, okay? I'm still gonna do it. Like, so how does that make you feel knowing that Grandma like won't acknowledge it or she doesn't like it?
Well, I'm respectful of it, but it's not going to make me change my mind, because at the end of the day, if I like it, it doesn't matter what someone else may think. You know, and I mean, we all want our mother's approval, but you know, I look at how she was enculturated. I mean, she came up through segregation and, you know, different things. So I get it. You know, it is what it is. And, you know, it doesn't lessen the love that she has for me.
I'm still a little bit stuck on you got married, so you
Sex.
I'm stuck.
Right.
Just like, wait,
don't be bored.
in what year of college?
I got married the year after I graduated from college.
So you were a virgin up until then? Oh my goodness.
You are good. Oh,
Wow, so you got wait. So you married something not knowing what you were getting
I'm
into.
not saying I didn't do the Southern thing.
What's the Southern thing?
Ain't nobody got it.
Gotcha.
Just wasting
Say no more.
time.
Yeah.
Wasting time.
Oh, okay. And I've known Patrice a long time. I would have never known that.
Never have
I would
thought.
have never known that. I think that's living. I think it's life. It's what we saw growing up. It's what we experienced in college. It's just lots of things.
The friendships you made,
Right.
the places you go. I mean, it is a combination of everything.
The mistakes you make.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yes, mistakes. There's so many people. I feel like our generation, people have different new friends every season. But y'all like, and I love how y'all interact. But like, what does it take to like hold a friendship together through those ups and downs?
So you have to get to know your friend and accept them as they are and not really take anything personally, because if you know them, then you know how they are and why they are, and so you can deal with them in that way and move on. Like when somebody in here is having trouble or not feeling something or is edgy, you know, you might not talk to them for 2 or 3 weeks, huh? And so, you know, at first that might make you feel a little way, but then once you understand, then you know, okay, well, I talked to her in a month, it'll be all right.
I'm a difficult friend.
No, she's not. She really is
I am.
not.
I'm a difficult friend, but I am a loyal friend.
She is,
Yeah.
but in a
But
good
I
Doesn't
way.
make you a bad friend.
But I think
No,
that
that's
those
good.
personalities are your mother
Exactly.
and Lynn. And I think Patrice and I are the more laid back. But these friendships are different because I think your generation has friendships differently. Ours are about loyalty and longevity. I think you all, you know, I've seen them at their worst, I've seen them at their best. Some of your friends, you see them on Instagram. And what I put on Instagram is the best of me. And so you start to try to live up to what that person is when that's really not what that person is at all. It's just what they show you. And I think that we have not had that opportunity as friends to just show one part of ourselves to one another.
That's a really good point.
What have you learned from your children in this new generation?
Oh, you'll be proud of me. For what I've learned from you is how to be more of a butterfly in terms of not giving a, you know what, sometimes about how people are going to react to you. And that piece I love because, and I have learned that from you because I was always, you know, worried about if I do that, what is someone's going to think, you know. And now, what would Steph do? Oh, I know what would Steph do. Okay.
Look, that.
I think being a mother has allowed me to let go a little bit. Not as judgy as I could be, used to be, or and just finding my joy wherever it is.
I think my son has taught me not to be so selfish and self-centered, to be a more giving person, he's an only child, as are you and you and almost you. And so he's always been so outgoing, and there have always been people all over our house all of the time. And you know, I like that I see in him, and it makes me want to be more like him. So I think that's what having a child has done for me.
Yeah.
So I don't have biological children, but I have a lot of children because I adopt people where I work.
Yeah.
And the main thing they've taught me is resilience, because a lot of them are living whole lives. I mean, whole lives. And they're making it. They keep up with their schoolwork, they work a job, they're taking care of maybe babies, they might be taking care of their mama. And so they're very resilient. They've taught me that.
Yeah.
So I try now not to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Danny, you said something that was very key that I thought about. It's like not being as judgy. Like I know, like mom, sometimes she'll be like, "You're always ripping and running. You're on the go, and you can't stop." But like that's what I saw her do growing up. Like she was always like a very career focused and very oriented. I turned out fine, but now it's so. But now that I think you see me doing it, and I mean, but I'm like, do you feel like that's a good trait? That's not a good trait? Because I'm doing what I saw, what I thought should be done. You know. So it's like I think it's good to have a hustle, and I know my husband appreciates me being out here like, yo, I know my wife is like gonna be good, but I watched you do that, and I think that's very important. So now when you tell me to slow down, is it because you wish you would have slowed down?
I think so. Well, you know, that it was, you know, maybe it wasn't always, should have been about that next promotion or, you know, getting that principalship or, you know, the assistant, you know, I can say that now at the end of my career, you know, because I did meet all the milestones, but then I reflect back because maybe some of it, you know, such as when I was working on my doctorate, my marriage took a beating because I was so focused on finishing that doctorate, you know, and maybe if I hadn't, who knows?
Yeah. So like, how do you all feel about your careers, and have you had to choose?
I think we've always had good support systems, be it parents, extended
Especially
family
parents.
that helped you when you did need to focus on something outside of the family. They filled in the gap for you. So I don't think that there were times when you had to make a choice. Once you made your choice, you had a support system to support that choice.
I agree with Dana.
Yeah.
We had our parents, and then we had, you know, friends and, you know, other relatives. I mean, I remember my mother was working when my son was born, and Daddy had not quite retired, but there was a day that I had to do something, and the babysitter couldn't come, Mama was working, Daddy couldn't do it, so Aunt Margaret kept check. So, you know, people just stepped in and, you know, filled the voids.
That
and
village.
so, yeah, so we never had to really make a choice over career because those people
Villages.
in that
Yeah.
village said, this girl has got to go to work, so we're gonna, you know, do what needs to be done.
Patrice, with you, like, if not to get too personal, but you don't have children, did you feel like you had to make a choice at some point whether, all right, I'm gonna continue on and not, or I'm just gonna keep moving?
So I knew when I had been married for 3 years that it was not the thing for me, but I didn't know how to unwind from that, and so we didn't have children because I think both of us realized at some point it was going to be a wrap. And at that time I wasn't responsible enough to do what your mom did, which, because he was military as well, which would have been to kind of raise a child, or Dana actually, raise a child by myself.
What do you hope for this new generation of women?
So this is what I hope, because, you know, I deal with young people
All day.
all day, that the young ladies will not cave into external forces and define themselves for themselves. I think people are essentially looking for love, and I don't mean romantic. I mean, you know, maybe love at your job, which means that your supervisor appreciates you, or maybe love from your children, which means they respect you, and then maybe there's romantic love. So I think that I would like them to define themselves for themselves, and then realize that, some people aren't going to love you no matter what you do, and then there are going to be people that will love you no matter what you do. So that's what I try to tell my young ladies. It took me a long time to learn that, though.
Yeah.
So
I know for me, seeing that I have the first grandchild of the group, looking at my granddaughter, what scares me the most, I know love and all that's going to be there, is maybe what's going on in the world right now, with pandemic, us being in isolation. Is like, will she ever get to experience friendships like I have, or, like her mother has? That I wonder, because, after your parents are gone, your friends are who, get you through things. I'm dealing, right now, with a sick parent, and my girls, they've been there calling, checking, dropping off, wonderful things. And I worry about that for her because of the way the structure. Hopefully it will not be like that, but that she will get to experience good friendships.
Yeah, me too. My friendships have saved my life.
Yeah.
So I really pray that for her too.
I do.
I want them to build on what your generation has done, Stephanie. You all have lived yourselves authentically, and you don't worry about what other people think. And I hope that they are able to build on that and live a life. I think we lived wonderful lives. We've had great lives, but I think a lot of times we did things based on what other people wanted us to do. I think your generation kind of stopped doing that a bit, and hopefully the younger generation, your children, will be able to really live that out, to authentically be themselves.
I want them to complete their education, and then do whatever you want to do. You have to have that basic high school diploma, or you're not going anywhere. I want them to love themselves more than they love anything else, love and respect themselves, and I want the fight for equal pay for women to finally get to where it needs to be.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for this amazing conversation. First time y'all made me cry. I don't usually cry on my own show, but all right. So we're gonna leave everybody with a word of positivity and affirmation. I love positive affirmation. So if everybody can grab their card, and then we'll read it out loud. So we'll start with you, Patrice, and work our way around.
Okay. So my mental health is just as important as my physical health. Don't you say a word.
Not a word. I'm not saying a word. I let go of fear so that fear can let go of me.
I enjoy my own company.
I am in control of my thoughts, feelings, and choices.
So this says, my card says, I believe in the person I am becoming.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, ladies, thank you so much for this very insightful and thought-provoking conversation. I hope you at home really enjoy this conversation. You can find more on Before Brunch TV at Before Brunch TV. We'll see you next time.